1, 2, 3, 4.
In this podcast, you will hear Knights of Vader. Knights of Vader includes, but is not limited to, talk of Star Wars, not ray guns. We can't truly prepare you for the junk that follows this song, but hey, we gave it a try. So here's the Knights of Vader. Crystal Fox reports they are divided. Prequel, sequel, canon, love they fight. I know that we are just musicians hired, and their time is up. So here's the Knights of Vader.
Impressive. Most impressive.
A big thank you to An Insperiority Complex for providing our theme song. It is June 24th, 2024. My name is Zach Weber, and joining me today is Chris.
Hey, happy to be here to litigate birthdays.
And we have Grand Admiral Zenger.
Currently a 1-1 game right now for the Stanley Cup. Not the Target Cups, like the actual hockey thing. Chris appreciates this reference.
So a guy in the elevator at the hotel asked me, hey, what? The guy in the elevator was like, hey, you watching the game? I'm like, oh, man, I hate to disappoint you, fellow Canadian, but I don't even know what you're like. There's a game, and he was just like the look of disappointment. Oh, man.
Yeah, because Edmonton's in it. Like, that's the most Canadian you can get with hockey, I think.
Well, it's like one of the original six, right?
Can you name anything else Edmonton's known for? You're thinking of the Maple Leafs.
Oh, wow. I'm not even right about that, huh?
I hope they smack the Tim Hortons out of your hand.
I at least have that currently.
I'm on point today.
They're going to take your Canada card away.
And last but not least, we have Cousin Amundi himself, Joe Yazzo.
Yes.
Ooh.
Green Lantern ring held up to the camera.
And I do have a special surprise for Zach. He'll be receiving this once I see him next time. I actually found it, and it does exist, and I made it for you. It is the Peep R2-D2.
Wow. Joe's first 3D file.
Yeah,
that's right.
Exactly. I'm glad Chris remembers that. Yes, Joe's first 3D file. Trying to, with an Xbox Kinect camera,
Trying to scan R2-D2. It was my most disappointing thing. I thought I rage deleted everything that was associated with that, but apparently nothing's ever truly gone.
Well, I know we got a good picture of it on the Instagram, I think, somewhere back there. Yeah.
Just like Palpatine, it somehow survived being thrown into a bottomless chasm.
Yes.
As you do.
Alrighty, folks, but when we are not litigating the true Canadianness of Chris or Peep R2-D2, we are here to discuss the important matters. We are going to cut through the BS. We are going to discuss when was Ki-Adi-Mundi born. We are going to do a deep dive. I look forward to the Star Wars film, much like Kevin Costner's JFK, that embellishes and completely exaggerates the events that unfolded the week of June, 18th? Yes, truly a bizarre moment in the annals of Star Wars history. We get a cool looking bad guy with a lightsaber, probably one of the scarier moments of a Star Wars since the 2003 micro series of a bad lightsaber wielding no-gooder showing up and wiping the floor with Jedi, and all people care about is a tertiary character's birthday. A sad moment for the fandom. Truly a sad moment for where our priorities lie.
Well,
yeah, I mean, in our first recording, we covered episode 1 and 2 of Acolyte. So, we got to remember what we've missed, right? Like, we got to talk about the witch chanting. We got to talk
lesbian space witches, of course.
Yeah, we got to talk about what a bad observer Master Soul is. And, I mean, how far down is that chasm that May fell? Like, it looked like maybe like 20 feet at most. Like, he should have made sure she was dead. It's just low effort Soul.
Palpatine and Darth Maul are waiting at the bottom, just trying to like Three Stooges level, like catch them with like a comically large trampoline.
All this is accurate.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll put Ki-Adi aside. Lesbian space witches. That was the previous week's controversy in the Star Wars fandom. put all my cards on the table. I had no problem with it. I thought it was entertaining. I kind of love the idea of a coven of lesbian space witches. I'm going to keep calling it that because it rolls off the tongue quite nicely. And it's the provocative nonsense that we've come to know and love. Maybe that word's in quotation marks from contemporary Lucasfilm, where at this juncture, I swear they just like poking the bear. I have a theory on that I'll delve into in time. But no, I liked Mother Quarrel. I liked Mother... Oh God, the one that's actually their mother, not the other one with like the spiky horn heads. I dug it when I initially watched it. It felt a little bumpy. Rewatching it, it went down relatively smooth. I dug it. Like Chris said, there's some clunky moments that I think are intentional. The idea of either it's going to be from a certain point of view or, oh, we only got one perspective on this. Yeah, solid. Not the greatest thing I've ever seen, but that would come later in the end of episode 4. Zenger, you look pained to be here as always. What did you think of the Coven of Lesbian Space Witches?
I just hate the way they cowered out on it. Like, they could have gone full bore into just making everyone literally hate it more, and me just go, you guys are doing the greatest things of all time right now, but no, of course not. What they did instead was, what is going on with my computer? Oh, that's what's going on. Anyways, so my thing is, I felt they were setting up for this. I'm like, they're not going to do it. They're not. Where the Jedi are going to show up and be like, you can't use the Force. The Force is only for the Jedi. And then be like, but the Force is for everybody. And the Jedi ignite their lightsabers, and it's like, we have to stop them. They're evil. So I was sad because they should have gone that way to show that maybe the Jedi aren't the good guys every time. But no, they cowered out on it and kind of started to hint at it, but then didn't do it. I was sad. Yeah.
Well, in the Clone Wars, they kind of made it sound like the Jedi could like enact like eminent domain on any Force sensitive child and just take them. And this like sort of nerfed that down a little bit. You know what I mean? There's some parts of the Clone Wars where they really imply that they can just take them.
I think they should have gone to where like the Jedi legit showed up and just murked everybody. And I would have been like, oh my gosh, this is awesome, because this is like heavily implying the Jedi are like, maybe from that point of view, the Jedi are the ones that are evil. So I'm just saying they could have gone full bore into this and cowered out. But you know who's not a coward? Rus.
I can't believe I was that close to a ride. Have you ever seen Chewbacca?
Hello. Sorry I'm late, guys. How are you? I see a very spirited debate already about Acolyte, talking about the coolest scene.
One of the coolest scenes, Russ.
Oh, no, did I get that totally wrong? I don't know. I thought he's talking about Jedi cowering down from... All right, never mind.
Oh, no. I'm talking about Jedi, like I said, they should have just shown up and like, we're taking this Force-sensitive child. It's all right as Jedi. And them being like, but we don't acknowledge you. And them igniting their lightsabers and be like, then we will have to kill you.
Yeah, they get in the whole thing. Is that the first time they've ever been called monks, too, ever in any kind of media?
I love that they were digging at them. Like I said, there's elements of this. I'm like, yay, this is fun. This is Last Jedi destroying the image of the Jedi. Woo, let's do this. And then they just didn't go full bore, and I was sad.
It's almost like they played him out to be pompous.
Wait, who? The Jedi?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. As they should be.
They're like bloated and it's almost like they don't find them powerful or anything like that. They just find them as bullies.
They don't have the records for them, probably.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. You've got a group of people that's like, the Force is ours. We're going through the galaxy and finding all these people and taking them under our wing. Is that somebody using the Force without our permission? Gatekeep it.
Well, they're coming off a streak of 997 generations of the Jedi being in power, bro. Like, you know, they're on an all-time high. Like, of course, they think they know what's up.
It comes, the all-time high comes later when they're like, we're gonna lead armies, and one of us will go solve a mystery in space.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about Obi-Wan doing that. So for some reason, I don't know why I've kept this weird parallel of Yord and younger Obi-Wan, just their demeanors and how they are, and how like kind of I guess that would be Qui-Gon's teaching going into Obi-Wan to make him so different. If that's what like the younger kind of cocky Jedis were, like there's moments I kind of like Yord, but when they first introduced him, I'm like, this dude sucks. This guy is one of the worst characters. Like, why? Because when you introduce a guy shirtless like that, it's like, what is this?
Thus, I will have you reminded that Ben Solo was introduced that way to us. It's the way of showing who the new hotness is.
And also, he was keeping his clothes quite nice too, because he was steaming his robe.
Yeah,
So
sure.
apparently there is a etiquette to how a Jedi is supposed to look, and their robes are supposed to be pressed based off of that scene too.
Mm-hmm.
This week on Jedi Busy Work, Yord goes his robe.
Steam your robe. No starch.
All right, Russ, because you weren't here last week, what are your overall thoughts on the electrolyte?
Is that what we're calling it now?
This week.
One of the many names for it.
It's got acolytes in it. I just keep thinking of Eric the actor. Every time I hear acolyte, I'm like, but I want to like it. Is that the best the way to put it? Like, I want to like all this older. I'm like, I love that we were like, we're getting a fresh start. We don't have to. We're not connected to anybody, and it's now I can kind of have the prism of all four of them mention it. But it's like I enjoyed the first couple. I was on board. I'm like, all right, I want to see how it plays out. There's little things that kind of bug you, but episode 3, man, it's like I know it's hard being a kid actor, and especially being two of them in this. But that was a rougher episode of something that should have been way cooler. I do like how it is unfolding. Like, you did just think a girl and two girls' family were killed by the Jedi, so it had us all thinking, okay, they're gonna go there. I was picturing like a little hut. I was like, oh, it's an actual full-on witch's coven. Okay, and I was like on board for that. You go up here with that, and then go way down when they start chanting. And I know Chris has memorized the chant at this point. One many, two many, three.
Well, it just the death of the coven really shows you the dangers of gas leaks. Like, make sure your stove is set up properly. That's really what that comes down to. It can get you even if you got precognition for whatever reason.
Smoke detectors too. I think the Jedi knew. That's how they knew that they needed to go there, is because they didn't have any smoke detectors or fire extinguishers. So they saw that. They're like, you're in danger.
We sent them all to Bespin.
Yeah. Well, people are having a field day with the witch's chant, and it is definitely is it the most cringe thing in the 4 episodes? Like, probably. The child acting doesn't bother me this as much as it bothers Russ. I don't know why. It's just so weird for me, because it's like I feel like I should be part of the team that's just ripping on this show, but like I don't see, like, I feel like there's all these guys who have decided that it's terrible, but like I don't know what was entertaining them about Kenobi and Ahsoka and all that stuff. I wish I could empathize with the majority of the people that I know and hate this show, but like I don't know. I just find it middling. It's not changing my life, but it's not offensive in the way that half of the fandom seems to think it is. It's not like it's it's like Ahsoka. Half people made fun of it, half people liked it, but the negative half is like they're emboldened in a way that I haven't seen in a long time, and I don't know what's fueling that. It's not bad. It's not like it's not divisive enough.
Making it. Like, I'm with you. I like it too. And this was a strange. Like, there's been a lot of turns in fandom on things. I mean, I guess what would even be the first experience where things started like turning on this? Would it be Last Jedi? Because I think that was kind of one of the first. I mean, we could say episode 1. That's kind of always been there, but not like this for this one. Yeah, it is not as bad as is being played out. Their character, I've already invested in the characters in Star Wars. It's good. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but it's still Star Wars, and it's I don't know. I feel like the wrestling guy. It's still Star Wars to me.
Well, but the Rotten Tomatoes score is really fascinating, because this hasn't happened before, right? Where it just gets like mercilessly review bombed, and it's Disney Star Wars. It's not amazing. It's not going to change your life, but like they've never organized themselves to go after one of these shows on like a user review site in this way, and it's kind of like
13%.
Yeah, below the holiday special.
It's become like the new Gamergate is to be like, finally, we can really go after, like, Ray annoyed us. Jin Urso irked us a little bit. But now this is too much, as if it's gone too far. But I honestly, I like the female characters on the show mostly better than the male characters. Jackie's cool. I wish I could remember the Green Lady's name. It always eludes me, but I find her interesting and a cool character.
Vanestra. Yeah.
Madam Cover-Up.
I remembered Corin's name, okay? Mother Corin. Have you guys talked about her? So the two mommies was a very big element. And I think that is what finally just got enough people like, you're taking Anakin's life away. Anakin is nothing now. But I don't know. How do y'all feel about that? Because it hasn't been played out yet. Like, I'm waiting to see what it actually is before making any kind of judgment. They just alluded to things.
Am I misremembering? I thought they mentioned in one of the first 2 episodes, they said mothers or something, our mothers or something like that, or they made some comment. So
I think they were just saying family. Like, I didn't know they were witches.
I swear they said mothers in one of the first 2 episodes.
I mean, they strongly imply that those 2 characters are the biological parents of the twins.
I know. I'm just saying that where everyone being shocked that with the whole thing, I'm like, they set it up if you were paying attention. You guys are fixated on Ki-Adi-Mundi's birthday, but you're not fixated on lines that actually have purpose in this show.
Well,
also, was Plo Koon in the background? Let's talk about it.
No, it's just a different Keldor or whatever they're called.
And he's in the landing party as well. So he is on the planet of the dead Kelbakas, where I guess I could play a clip because I'm sure they showed up there. Oh, God damn it. You're like, you still have that stupid thing? As soon as I was like, oh no, all these Wookiees are dead. Move to the east, whatever. All right, I won't bother you with it.
Well,
right there, we got it. Perfect.
Well, it does shed some light on why the Sand People took Shimmy Skywalker and beat her up because she was a witch. Because apparently witches can actually sit there and do this thing of immaculate conception and
you can't be a witch, Annie. You're a boy.
Yeah.
Sorry, you can leave with them.
Oh my gosh. You know what would be really funny? If the Jedi just ever since this point, they know about the witches creating children, and Qui-Gon had that. That's why Qui-Gon took Anakin. He's like, every time one of these witches creates a kid, we got to take them. That's pretty much the rules these days.
You're wasting your midichlorian batteries on this one. We know this. So we got to see that being used again. Someone taking, I guess, a midichlorian test. That is, I guess, this only the second time we maybe seen that.
Yeah.
And it was from the Game of Thrones boy who, the first time they show, you shouldn't show someone on the show the first time is the old version of themselves. Because when they showed the actual him, I was like, I was wondering like why he looked so weird. Why they had to age him up so much. And how did he become a master anyway? He's a Padawan then.
Yeah, well, it also showed. Yeah, I think there's a 6-year gap. They said he was meditating in a floaty ball for 10 years, and it's been 16 years. So he had a little bit of character development after this whole fiasco at the witches coven thing. So he became a master within 6 years, and then we find out that hovering in a meditation ball just demolishes your hairline. That's pretty much how it works. You just don't get enough vitamin D or something.
Yeah, he looked like a mannequin almost. He looked weird. I guess he just, he's not getting a lot of exercise or anything. But that was weird when they're like, that's the guy from Game of Thrones. I'm like, how? Like, what happened to him? Did he hit it hard? He looked so old. But then, okay, yeah. All right, flashback.
I mean, there's a lot of weird stuff, but like, I don't know, man. I think there's like, I was entertained by the whole the bringing out the little video mirror iPad. It's like, why do you need a little handle on your iPad like they had in episode 1? Who knows? You can just hold an iPad, but we got a little handle on ours for some reason. It's no big deal. It's they're using the exact same test with the same software 80 years earlier because time moves slowly in the Republic. They're just employing the same old Jedi tests. But I mean, I don't know. I thought that stuff was pretty good. Obviously, we got a lot more to find out about why the coven sort of blew up. There's obviously a little bit of content missing there, but I just can't wait to find out how the Jedi are somehow responsible for the gas leak that killed all the witches.
When we get off the planet, I'll tell you everything. I promise.
Yeah. And like I mean, let's like get into like the fourth episode a little bit. Like what I feel so shortchanged on this Wookiee Jedi, you know? Like, I guess we're going to get one more scene with him in a flashback. Hopefully he does something cool. But like you had this whole, I think it was the end of the second episode. You have a couple of like knuckleheads walking up on his hut and he like chases them away.
Yeah, he gets the guns, their blasters with the Force, and that's your introduction. You're like, this guy's gonna be going crazy. And we see him fixing a ship like we've seen Chewbacca do a million times. Like we know Wookiees do that. You don't need to show us him fixing a speeder. And then they get there and he's like, I'll just die now.
Yeah. I don't know, man. But that fourth chapter does have a lot of sort of exposition and just dialogue, and as soon as we get teased with some action, it sort of quiets down immediately. But I don't know, man. It's like they're dressing it up like it's Kashyyyk, but it's not. It's got your dangerous Kashyyyk wildlife and sound effects, but and sort of trees, and a Wookiee lives there, but it's not quite Kashyyyk. It's like it's on the edge of making sense.
That's the closest thing to Mothman you're going to see in Star Wars. I think that thing is kind
potato
of a
bug with wings.
Yeah, man, I got big time. And I liked it. It almost gave the alien kind of vibe where it's just. And also, I was thinking like Jedi. There's these giant things wrapped around the trees. Like, no time for this nonsense. We don't need. And she's like, I was like, that's the first thing I noticed just watching it. But I did like that. That's a cool creature. I don't know how many big creatures we've had pop up on the show. I can't think of any. This might be the first one. I feel like Mando had to kill one every week.
So who is the actual? Okay, so getting to Zipper Face.
Real quick, just to point out for our dear listeners, Florida is now up 2-1 over Edmonton right now in this very crucial Stanley Cup game. The listeners want to know.
By the time they're listening to this, they will have known.
Yeah, but now they'll know that we're knowing in the moment. It'll be great. Also, still upset. I wanted the Wookiee to just speak regular basic. I thought it would have been hilarious. Especially since we had them for like all of 10 seconds on screen.
Yeah, you'd think a Wookiee Jedi could pull it off, but maybe that's why. And so speaking of Wookiees and Jedis, I think one of the reasons I like that your dude, especially in that last one, is that when they bring up our who could forget our dear friend Rat Boy, that would be Basil, the little rat man, tracker man, and that Yord learns his language. He's like, I don't mess with Shiri Wook. That's pretty easy. I want to talk to this little rat guy. That's my guy. That's more nuanced. I don't know why. I thought that was a fun Jedi detail that you have to pick a language.
Yeah, these guys should talk to Ben Bird a little bit more because, like the rat makes like one little grunt and then Yord spits out a sentence that he somehow conveyed with a single tone grunt. It's like, you need to have like fake words in there. Like Chewbacca even tries. Chewbacca does not make sense. Like Shiri Wook does not make sense, but it features an illusion of a sentence structure when he can, it's more than one noise to convey a sentence. And, they drop the ball on little rat boy here, but that's a minor gripe. I
think you only need to say one word to a rat boy though, like left. Okay. All right.
But he's
straight. And I don't think and May, I guess he said May. He had to scream May. So he's found May and she's down this way. It's like Lassie almost. Like, what is it, boy?
That's the universal call for I found May. Yeah. Zach, you don't care about that.
Zach doesn't care for dear rat boy.
The amount of thought put into rat boy, the whole time I'm just watching him, I'm like, oh, okay. This is who the Funko Pop is based off of. All right. Things that actually matter. I thought
people confused. I guess early on there was a poster and they were like affiliation Jedi. And they're like, this little rat's a Jedi. I must have missed that. I just read it now, but they're like, no, he's just a friend. Like early on when he was first released, people did think he was going to be a Jedi.
All right. So Zipper Face bad guy man. It has clearly they're building this up to be Quamir. Is that his name? Quamir?
Yeah.
May's like associate. They're clearly building it up to be him, but that seems like almost an intentional red herring.
Yeah, I think so because she's asked him, "You've never seen his face, have you?" Like, she's sort of phrasing it like, are these two guys ever in the same place at one time? You know what I mean? I think that was the deliberate sort of push in that direction.
So instead of pulling the instead of they're building up this instead of the whole, is it a twin? What's going on here? So they pulled that out real quick, and now they're taking their time with this other thing. Sorry, I'm having it on in the background.
And I heard one theory that is completely ridiculous about Quimir. So I've heard a theory that someone thought that Quimir would be Soul's son, because of course he's the only other Asian guy on the show. And if you do a little thinking, like, well, Soul's been a Jedi since he was 4 years old. They even mentioned that in that last episode. I was like, yeah. And though that his son is jealous of May because or Oshi, because he took care of Oshi instead of his own non-Jedi son.
Everyone knows that Cinemoddities is the only Jedi who's allowed to have kids.
Is that even canon anymore?
I don't think it was it ever, or was it always legends?
It was at one point, but who knows now, Zach? It's all just devil may care, throw caution to the wind, erase legends, backstories as if it doesn't matter because did you ever even know them in the first place? Okay, did any of you guys, I'm not looking for the exact age, but like if you asked me how old is Cinemoddities supposed to be, I knew that he was in his 90s. Like, I did know that. I swear to God, I did know that. So, like, why did I know that? Who knows? This is the problem with this whole thing. But, like, I would have said he was, unusually old, more than a human would be. But, you know, they've gone and, like, doubled it.
How his head got so big. They should have made his head a little smaller. He'd be like, oh, he gets bigger. That's how you know how old he is.
Yeah.
He grows.
He's like a tree.
Yeah.
Count the rings.
Yeah.
And I don't mind, I don't mind them increasing his age. I think they should have made him like 30 years old instead of like 70 and then 200 in the prequels, like whatever, minor quibble there. But there is the complaint I think is a little bit more valid is the fact that he's like aware of these like rogue dark Jedi. And he's also the guy who says the Sith have been extinct for a millennia. And I know Zach was sending me Pablo Hidalgo tweets about saying like, that line was basically nondescript. He said it because we didn't want Mace or Yoda to say it, basically. But it's like, then that's why you don't use him in this situation. That's what I'm saying.
That's when he used the who was the guy who had the upside down Yoda ears and like one eye open? I was
they got the eye patch.
Yeah, little
Peel? Ivan Pael or something like that.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Even Peel.
Why don't you just use Yaddle?
Because
Yaddle should be around. Where's Yaddle at? Yaddle should be like 200.
Ron Howard's daughter was too young to play her at the time.
Where's Big Whiskey? Big Whiskey should have been there, and then
Big Whiskey is negative 30 at this time.
Doesn't matter, Chris. He's a tadpole. They have him in a little like beaker.
He'd be in there anyways, real tiny, like how they did Kermit's little friend in he had his little tadpole friend in like Muppet Babies and stuff.
But as usual, Pablo Hidalgo is not helpful in any way with his commentary. Like, it's just like, oh, it didn't matter who said that. That's why you don't use him in this situation, because he knew there was dark Jedi loafing around, and then you have him get a close-up where he's like, the Sith have been extinct for a millennia. It's like,
okay,
you're a forgetful dude.
You're saying the point, though.
He could be senile.
Yes, but Chris is saying the exact point. You keep saying, oh, the Sith has been extinct, but we keep saying dark Jedi. I feel like there's a difference.
Sure, there is, but you're splitting hairs when you're saying they've been extinct for a millennia. It's like, well, except for those ones that are like 90% Sith. Those have been around.
We've seen many gentlemen in black outfits with red lightsabers over the last century.
Yeah.
And he wasn't wearing all black.
Who, Darth Maul or Zipperface?
Zipperface. Maybe that's why they're like, hey.
But at this point, aren't they just talking about May at this point? Are they even aware that Zipperface exists until the last 30 seconds of this week's episode?
They are.
No, they didn't. They weren't aware. Why would they be like, stand down?
No, Soul did kind of keep his way on there by saying, look, we got to bring May along. I mean, we got to bring Oshi along, because if we just she can get to May, we need to know who her master is, because we know there's somebody out there. So we're still using her, basically. Once we get to her, it's just to move up to get whoever the other.
Exactly. They were reviewing the hologram of May fighting Soul, and they're like, I can tell you right now that somebody better than her trained her. They were
They
talking
don't know
about
each other. Yeah.
Maze Master in their little secret meeting with Conehead, whose name I
So-
can't remember
So
anymore.
Kiadimundi
yeah.
is an idiot, if I may say so, because this show's establishing that there's other people that can tap into the Force, and can this show just come out and say the Jedi are idiots?
It feels
That's
like
what
they're
it's
trying
doing.
to, right? It feels like they kind of are, but they also could have used any what fan service you get by using Kiadimundi? We love Star Wars more than anybody, and none of us. I don't think I cared at all. I'm going, what is he doing here? Like, he shouldn't even be here. They could have asked any fan to watch that, and they would have picked anybody else to do that.
I went, what's big head Leonardo DiCaprio doing on the screen right now? Am I the only one that noticed that?
They should use a digitally de-aged Count Dooku.
That would have made less sense.
I was a teenage Dooku. They could have had him.
Exactly, Padawan Dooku.
He would have been
Test tube. He could be Big Whiskey could be his little pet project. It's fine. It's fine. First, just gonna throw dynamite at everything. Just do it for fun.
Yeah, right.
Like it's just.
I'm
No,
just
like,
saying,
okay.
the
Chewbacca can still show up. Sorry,
he's
go
not
on.
wrong. The arrogance of the Jedi to think like, oh, no one could tap into the Force and learn how to use it like we can. It's laughable. They deserve what happened.
I think the whole point with Kiadi is that, like, it's, again, to be fair, he also has the line of dialogue in Attack of the Clones where he's like, he called Dooku is a political idealist, not a murderer. I think he's supposed to just be arrogant. I even remember in his Clone Wars episode where they go back to Geonosis, he's just like, how did we let this happen? Geonosis was captured again. It's the idea that, and maybe he's also part of an elaborate cover-up of all this. This could be like the equivalent of like being on the Jedi Council and Qui-Gon comes in. It's like, hey, some dude with like a weird looking like head face had a glowy red stick and he like swung it at me and Kiadi starts sweating profusely. And he's just like, oh no, they've not been around for 1,000 years. And it's like, that's the first thing you do if you're involved with a cover up like 100 years ago is just like tug your collar and be like, nope, no bad glowy red stick guys here. Like, again,
Honestly,
like,
they're like the Jesuits. You're right. They are almost making them like a very secret religious order. Or they're, maybe it does justify a little bit of a previous work, and the Jedi must end. We have to end this. It's just like it gives almost a little sympathy retroactively through that. Yeah, good point. I like you say pulling their collar. I'm thinking, yeah, they're like priests. So they're hiding everything.
Opus Dei of the Jedi Order.
but yeah, like I said, I think the Kiadi thing, I think on the surface, it's meant to be a cute little wink and nod to like, oh, look, it's that guy. And then you have like the Plo Koon like species character whose name I don't know. And then like you have the official Star Wars Twitter account be like, nope, it's not him. Except you got another tertiary character. That is him. But please don't talk about that. Please don't scrutinize that internet.
And they put him next to the Plo Koon, so you're like, oh, they're back. The both of them, or they're all back. Your old favorites.
This dispute is exactly why IG-11 is not IG-88. They had the good sense to not walk into this minefield with IG-11. They're like, nope, this looks like him. It's not him. They should have, this just looks too much like Kiadi-Mundi to not be him. So they just knew they had to just fall on the sword.
Would you have ever guessed, Chris, there'd be this many? Like, if someone had told you this time exactly a week ago that there would be this many people angry about the birth date of Kiadi-Mundi, would you have believed it?
They're not, though. They're just like, they just want whatever they can get mad at this show for, this very middle of the road show, whatever they can get mad at it for, they want to. It blows my mind. They're not watching it.
Can we celebrate the release date of that episode? Just call it Kiadi-Mundi's birthday. His actual birthday.
Have a little cake.
Every year, a very pathetic cake.
A cake in the shape of his head.
Yeah, with him and 3 other women, cone-headed women.
Had to go to an erotic bakery. It's like, hello, I'd like a Star Wars cake, please. But why are you coming here then? Well, the shape of it is very, very sensual.
Well, you see, what happened was when Sifo-Dyas went in to erase Kamino from the archives of the Jedi Order, he also rewrote Kiadi-Mundi's birthday at that time. And that's why we thought it was wrong for all those years.
Or Kiadi could have been lying about his own age to try to get more chicks on his planet. He's like, no, I'm only 103. I'm surely not 160 years old. I'm
Russ,
virile.
Kiadi Mundi is basically a space Mormon. He has like 10 wives and a bunch of kids.
Yes.
That's his canon storyline or legend
Yeah,
storyline. It should be his canon storyline, but
It is not now.
You took all the sensuality out of Kiadi Mundi. How dare you?
Zenger, can you imagine a deleted scene in Attack of the Clones where Kenobi is with Joe Costanu in the library? It's like, also, while we're at things missing in these records, Master Librarian, Master Mundi's birth year seems to have changed
drastically by 100%.
Force works in mysterious ways. We haven't seen the Sith in millennia. Yada yada. Write this down.
Also, their average lifespan, according to Legends, is only 65 years.
He shortened his birthday so that he could have plausible deniability for this Dark Jedi plot that he encountered far earlier.
That's the true Phantom Menace.
There's like 10 people on his planet. That's why they need him. Everyone is dead on his planet. The average age is just these old chicks that are waiting for him to come home.
Whoa, so he went from the average age of 60 something to being 200. Amazing.
They really need to keep that species alive. Like, we just have to stay alive or we're all gone.
Chris, can you imagine the poor PA like on the set of the Acolyte that's just like, what are we gonna name this character? Just make it the guy from like the prequels. It's fine. That poor PA probably lost their job last week.
They got promoted. Oh, they're gonna be doing the next Disney Plus show. That's what it's gonna be.
Dude, if that character had a different name in the credits, people would go even more nuts because they would know that in production it was Kiadi Mundi, but then Pablo was like, "Oh boy, you guys better not change the name last minute."
They could have CG'd a hat on him or something. Like a different color. They could have done something to him if they cared.
They gave his beard is like gray instead of white, so you know it's him earlier. It's exactly him.
Is that Silas Carter?
There is a notation in here now, though.
I actually know Kiadi Mundi's name was Silas Carter, was the actor. Is that real knowledge?
Carson, I think. But yeah, he does like a couple of the Jedi. I think he does like... I mean, he might be the guy who's a big pile of like snake tentacles as well. He might be. And maybe I think he's one of the Cinemoddities too. He got around in the prequels.
At least one member of the species had a long lifespan. Kiadi Mundi was active as a Jedi Knight roughly a century before serving on the High Council. Thanks, Wikipedia, for jumping on that grenade.
Yeah, he knew Plagueis too, I guess. That's really what it comes down to. Yeah.
You know what? I was going to be angry about a Yoda name drop or reveal, and now apparently I should have been more angry about Kiadi Mundi showing up because that should have just been where my rage was focused. And am I supposed to care more?
Yoda's easy. I mean, it's like they're purposely no. We're not. We even said we're not putting any of these prequel characters in there. We know we're probably not using Yoda. And then the next week, it's like they put these stories out there to tick you off, like almost like feature. Like, no, you'd never see any of those guys. Surprise! It's Kiadi.
Suddenly, everyone considers Kiadi Mundi a character. It's crazy. It's so weird.
You know, this never would have happened if the original Clone Wars was still canon. I can't see him being dumb enough to not remember fighting the Sith or whatever.
He doesn't have that kind of premonition. He's a young... Oh, well, I guess you're right. Yeah. I don't know, but he's not there on the planet. Maybe he never finds out. Like,
I'm saying...
Oh.
The original one where he had to fight... Grievous, yeah.
But Zenger, I think about that. Like, this is like very... like. There's weird, like, it's poetry, it rhymes moments in this. We get another moment where a bunch of Jedi are like
about to get murked.
But well, that too. But like near like a crash ship, like Jedi murder, and some guy comes like floating out of like the air into the ground and like wipes the floor with them. Like they're like, I don't know, man. Like as much as we keep laughing at Leslie Headland, like she seems to be into like she understands the lore. Maybe not appreciates it on the same level that some fans do, but she knows her lore. And it's like, okay, because you can't look at this and not immediately think of the ending of season 2 or the ending of season 1 of Clone Wars. Like, you just can't. It's like, this is, again, the spookiest a villain has been in a while in Star Wars. Like, I don't know about you, but Kylo Ren nor Snoke was ever spooky.
He better Zipper Face better kill like half of these guys in the next episode, which I don't see happening.
Have you seen the there's like a leaked promo video?
I haven't seen anything.
Oh man, like if it actually shows a little bit of what's happening after this.
I've seen like the still of Jackie with the lightsabers.
Yeah, it's that too. Oh no, man! And this is actual footage. Like this looks like Kiadi versus Grievous. Like at the very end of like the Hypori fight. Like it looks that level where there's one person.
Listen, if he doesn't grab somebody by the face and just whomp their face into the ground to the point where they're dead, then I don't know if it's as extreme as the Grievous fight. But
could be bad.
Okay. Yes, there is not a Shaggy Jedi in their little cabal. I'm sorry, Chris. It will not live up to that hype. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I mean, so like real talk though, like this Zipper Face comes like right face to face with Osha, and they're about the same height. This is not a very physically imposing character. So it's like, what female character that we've already seen is Zipper Face is my question.
I think it's Corrin. I just have been rewatching the 2 episodes before.
You think so?
Before this. Watching 3 and 4 again in a row after kind of watching them. The way her and the mother Mama are torn about how they're training these girls, and she really does not care for how Osha acts. She seems to really want to keep May. She birthed them. She is their actual mom, and is kind of like has to bow to Force Mom, but she's like, no, these are actually my kids. I do think it's her because, and also think about what we learned about the witches. The way they fight is by just pushing people all away very quickly, and
yeah,
that's my theory, and I don't read spoilers.
I kind of agree because, well, but you also like Leslie Headland really loves Knights of the Old Republic 2 for some reason, more than the first one. She's always talking about Darth Treya, and you know that game also has some other weird Sith that are like basically zombies, like Darth Sion, who's like pretty much a zombie, and then Darth Nihilus, who is like 100% pure distilled hatred and not even a human
Cookie
being.
Monster.
Yeah. So so like maybe it is their mom, but she's like a green smoke zombie like Marok from Ahsoka or something like that. Maybe she's like one of those guys, you know. Well, it is her, but she's like a zombie.
Well, I think of all the many to one. Like if like I know it's probably I don't know if it's been thrown out there like all the witch spirits. Maybe the many does make the one, and it's just in her form because they've made a big deal about we are many, we are one. All of them have been through that ceremony basically, except Osha, who got cut off from it. So we got to think there is with the Force and a coven, and they keep talking about that. That's why possibly so powerful, kind of. Sucked up all the souls into one, maybe.
Well, there's also like rewatching the episode 3 thing with like Mother Anasay and like explaining like their interpretation of the Force. Like when they're talking about like, oh, the threat of fate, all that. If you go back to like everything Thrawn saying in Ahsoka, he also too, like when he's talking to like the mothers, like he's saying the same things like, oh, the threat of fate, the threat of destiny. It's like, oh, again, I do think that there's clear, and even look at Tales of the Empire with the whole thing where like you had a different version of the Night Sisters that lived in the mountains. Like Lucasfilm has been I've been saying this for years. They are very focused on different incarnations of the Force, even going to like Rebels and like, oh God, Zeb species.
And
their interpretation of the Force. Like it seems like that's been their new kick lately, is that like they're like the Force is the Jedi's understanding of it is just one path amongst many.
And so the world beyond worlds and stuff, and incorporating that into Jedi stuff, but also it seems like you don't have to be a Jedi to be a part of that.
Yeah, and I mean, but that's but even Clone Wars when Jorge was around, like you had the like you were just saying, the world between worlds, and then you have the season 6 stuff where Yoda hangs out with some weird Force spirits on some planet
with the drama masks.
Yeah, exactly. So like, what is that? This has already been around, but it's but this time
I'm not provocative.
Is it?
It could have been more. It
Tell
could
us
have
the
been more
Rotten Tomato
provocative.
score.
It could have been way more provocative. I would have been here for it if it was.
Imagine the exact same episode of the Clone Wars with Yoda, but instead of Yoda, it was Kiadi Mundi. Kiadi, your birth year will change in the year 2024.
That would have melted. Okay, but I mean, if they would have done like, if Ki-Adi-Mundi had like a Force Vision quest like the one Boba Fett has in his stupid show, that would light the internet on fire. People would be here for Ki-Adi-Mundi on a drugged out Vision quest talking.
That's gonna be that's gonna be tomorrow's episode, Chris. Remember our Star Wars?
Desert.
Remember our Star Wars? What if Ki-Adi-Mundi was born after the events of the Acolyte?
No, what'll happen is basically you'll see the world between worlds will open up, and Ahsoka just yoinks Ki-Adi-Mundi in by the scruff of his collar, and she like plops him back out in the High Republic, and it makes no sense. That's pretty much what happened.
I was gonna say somehow the other way around, where after the events of this, then she grabs him and it's like, no, you must be in the future. We need you again for the next threat.
And then you'll find out that the Jedi Order would have crumbled like 80 years earlier had she not put Ki-Adi-Mundi back into the High Republic.
So he's like the Doctor Who. They're going to he keeps moving around into different times of Star Wars. Whenever he's needed most, Ki-Adi-Mundi will somehow appear.
It's like Quantum Leap.
Yeah.
No, Joe,
No one
it's like
questions him.
Batman v Superman. Like the Ki-Adi-Mundi falls asleep at his desk, and Ahsoka comes through. Ki-Adi, your birth year. And like he looks confused. Am I too soon? Ahsoka, I'm too soon.
I don't know. I like
Zipper
Joe's,
face Jedi.
Joe, you really got me with the Quantum Leap. I'm picturing him just shooting at someone going, I'm a princess?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. And he's got to, do different adventures. He sees himself as Conehead with Padme and makeup on.
Ki-Adi-Mundi will always be the playable Jedi on my Gedo as far as I'm concerned. That's really...
And the OG Battlefront 2, I believe.
Yeah.
Is there gonna be an entire like generation of Star Wars fans now, like see him die in Revenge of the Sith and be like pour one out for Ki-Adi? Like is there now gonna be like an entire generation of fans that are endeared to him because of this controversy?
He's playing it out like
he's
he's like the most well-known Jedi, but he's not. He's got what, maybe 2-3 minutes of screen time in the whole prequels?
He has what, 2 lines of dialogue in the entire prequel trilogy?
Episode 2, he's got 2 different colored lightsabers too, which is great.
Oh, did you see that?
Yes, I did. It's great.
No, I'm glad Russ brought that up. Somebody on Twitter like brought that up as like, oh, like the 2 lightsabers, like, oh, like there's no continuity even in the films. Why should the birth year matter? And then somebody found the Attack of the Clones visual dictionary from 2002 and did actually in the visual dictionary, they have his lightsaber color listed as both blue and green. So your argument's null and void. Oh yeah, Chris, it's
Who
great.
was in my basement?
It means they just.
But
it
yes,
means
no,
whoever
I'm so
wrote
glad
that
you brought that up,
dictionary
Ross.
noticed
Somebody,
it.
there was an actual like back and forth because why wouldn't there be on the internet about that? And like, oh yeah, it was great. It's like we live in a perpetual like no man's land war of attrition when it comes to the Star Wars fandom. We measure success in inches of internet ground taken and lost.
You could probably blame.
Wizard did it.
You probably blame Pablo for writing that he has both a blue and a green lightsaber. So it's like he's on both sides of the fence, In the George years, he's digging into the minutia, and now he's like, yeah, who cares?
Chris is like, Pablo is the true Palpatine. He was Chancellor Palpatine, now Emperor Palpatine. He was behind it all.
He's getting now that he's running the show. He's getting in the story group. He's getting complacent. He's not caring as much. It's a little loose. Disdain for the fans is growing. Yeah, like any sort of true Star Wars creative, the sharp disdain for the fandom. Which to be okay, so I have a theory. I think we're at a point now with Lucasfilm where we're like they are whether like it's hard when we talk about Lucasfilm, we like to think it's just one person, but like it's not that, it's a hive mind. And it's like, oh god, Joe, you would know, or Zenger, you would know too. What's the name of the Kree who have what's the name of the giant Kree in like a head, like giant head?
Oh, god, it's not Mother Brain. The Supreme.
The Supreme.
Oh god.
Yes, that's
the Supreme.
Remembered it.
The Supreme Intelligence.
That's it.
Yeah, that's why I imagine Lucasfilm is, or it's like the Master Control program in Tron, and like pick your poison.
See, that's what you think it is, but it's actually the manatee tank from South Park.
Well, that too. That too.
That's what it actually is.
But I think we're at a
Rob
point
Schneider is.
when it comes to creatives at Lucas.
Put the Chianti Mundi ball in, and they're like, we can't do that.
It just comes up with one of those faces like, yeah, you can. But I think it's more of a narwhal, not a manatee. That'd be even better. Because it pops all the other balls. So the only one left is Keanu Mundi. Because they have an affiliation with him because he has a cone head and they have a horn. So they find a reverence to Keanu Mundi.
We're answering the tough questions that no one ever asked.
Answering the questions no one asked.
Joel was daring enough to.
But like, I think Lucasfilm is getting to that same point that like Jorge was in, like during the production of like Crystal Skull, where like there was like a behind the scenes photo taken of him wearing the T-shirt that says Han shot first. Like, I think when like they are at the same point. Yeah, Russ has a perplexed look on his face. Russ, go look up on Google. Like, there's Lucas wearing a Han shot first T-shirt during the principal photography of Crystal Skull. It's great. And I think we're at a point now with Lucasfilm where they're intentionally making incendiary decisions just to piss people off. Like, I think we've moved well beyond like the reactive, like nature of like the Rise of Skywalker era. We're like, no, let's not disenfranchise anybody. Let's just put things in this to make everybody happy. Like, just keep throwing enough at the wall. Eventually it'll stick. Now they're at the point where they're just like, let it burn. They're just like, like, it's just like, because think about it, we have certain TV shows like Andor, Ahsoka that like come out, and like Chris said, half the fans like it, the other half are kind of like indifferent toward it. Then you have like Kenobi or this, and it's like a lightning rod. Like, it just keeps hitting every single week, where it's just some sort of controversy week in, week out. And you have to wonder if they're just like, there's no way when they were making that third episode, even though I didn't have a problem with it, you have to know that like there's some like executive right there just cackling, being like, oh man, like the amount of like Last Jedi level like just takes the internet's gonna have on this, it's gonna get them the social media attention they want. Like,
and that's it. That's all they want is attention, and that's the thing. They're toddlers. It doesn't matter if it's good attention or bad attention. It's attention. People will sit down and watch the show, because if someone wasn't sitting down watching the show week after week, next thing you know, they sit there and they're looking through, and they see on Facebook someone posted, I can't believe what I just saw on Star Wars Acolyte. What are they going to do? Well, let me go watch Star Wars Acolyte and see what they're talking about. You know, and they'll form their own opinion, and it's either going to, I loved it. It was the best thing since Star Trek 3, because they have never watched a Star Wars before. But you know, that's the whole thing. It's all click and
I mean, if only this could be as good as Star Trek 3. You know,
Star Trek 3 was great, man.
Obviously. Anyways,
Stealing the Enterprise was my favorite scene of any of the movies.
So it looks like there's a slice of lemon on his tray.
what?
Sorry, I'm examining the picture of Lucas at the at the restaurant.
Lemon chicken.
Well, that's the thing. I'm like, did he put the lemon in his Diet Coke? Because that looks like lo mein.
Lemon lo mein. It's even
But
better.
it's also apparently in Australia.
What is happening right now?
I don't know what picture of Lucas you're looking at, but it's not the Han shot first picture.
Oh no, I typed in famous Lucas picture, and it brought up him eating at a food court.
Yeah, that's probably the most viral picture.
Someone should just yell at Lucas. When was Kiadi born?
Oh,
What's
Yeah.
Kiadi, that's the lunch special I normally get on Tuesdays.
someone should bang on his like office door at the ranch and just be like, George, we need a ruling on the field like that. Wouldn't that be a great series? Like once a week, they make a poor intern at Lucasfilm knock on his door and just ask him some sort of Star Wars question.
Well, it reminds me of like the clip of him with Seth Green where he starts yelling about Mara Jade has been making the rounds again because of this Kiadi Mundi controversy. It's like they're like re-editing it to like Lucas getting mad at the Acolyte. That's a great clip where he's like, I did not invent Mara Jade, and I want you out of this boardroom right now. It's great. listen, he doesn't care. He probably barely remembers who Kiadi-Mundi is. Like, he remembers his core characters. Kiadi-Mundi is a 3D 1/3 bust that was probably made by one of the guys in the sculpting department. And he's like, that's a Jedi. That's a Jedi. That's a Jedi. And like, they got random names. Although Kiadi-Mundi does sound like a George Lucas name. I don't know. Might have been.
His entire extent of like creative thought process on Kiadi-Mundi was he was on like concept art on a bulletin board and he just stamped it like he would back in the day. And it's just like, yes, that was the extent George has thought about Kiadi-Mundi.
It worked out.
He treated the Jedi like Jabba monsters. It was like, yep, this one. Make his cone a little bigger on this guy and just move on. Yeah, I love that process. Watching him do all that, like,
it's like I like Dan Aykroyd. Kiadi-Mundi can go. He can stay.
We should mention that like what the early Darth Maul like concept art is basically what May has become.
Who?
May. Or like quasi antagonist of all this. Who's now? Okay, now we should talk. What did we think of her like snagging Queermere like in like a booby trap? And she's like, well, not that she's on like she's like, I'm a good guy now, but she's just like, I'm gonna go to the Jedi, and they're not gonna like hang me for treason because I'm gonna tell them who the master is, even though none of us know who the master is. Like that kind of felt out of left field.
Once again, I want commitment to evil. God dang it. I know I'm banging the table and it's coming through on the reverb, but I want commitment to evil in these shows.
We
I'm tired of all these soft people.
She becomes a rebel, Zenger. She becomes a rebel to fight the Empire at the end of the series.
We all knew that wasn't going to happen.
Oh, that you, May? Oh, sorry.
Not even... Zenger, buckle up, because not even Darth Zipperface is going to turn out to be truly evil,
Oh! I can't get anything I want.
He takes his helmet off. It's Kiadi-Mundi.
Yeah. Then the harp plays, and they have a touching moment. It's like, I was really thinking about all these things I wanted to do. I really didn't mean it.
Oh, so he's dying, he says.
Taking one last look, sir.
Yes.
All right, shut up, C3. That's right.
Also, I like that there was no protocol droid. They had that hand translator. I was like, ha! Great.
Do we get an R2-D2 cameo at some point, just like flying around? Because again, he is in a Naboo Royal Starship. They can very easily just drop him in somewhere. Oh God, Peep R2-D2 was there all along.
Yes.
Well, yeah, because you're gonna get Sheev's first day on the job meeting Darth Plagueis, so maybe Sheev already has a Royal Starship. Who knows?
Zipperface Jedi is about to get into bed. It's like, all right, Sheev, I am scared to sleep at night. I need you to watch me as I nap.
Oh no, was he
it's like take this pillow just in case it falls off the bed for me. It's like,
well, I think Sheev is like pretty normal aged, right? Like they didn't rewrite his birthday yet. I think he's like supposed to be like 80 or something by Return of the Jedi. I don't think he's he's not that ancient. So hopefully he's not around yet.
Oh, give it time.
When I was reading online, they said that Plagueis would have been an apprentice to the Sith Master.
To this one.
Yeah.
If it's the same line of Sith.
Darth Vegas might have been. I don't know about this Plagueis character.
Get out.
Who is Darth Vegas? That's the question. That's what Lawrence Kasdan and JJ really want to know. Who is Darth Vegas?
Ross, we gotta get that clip for you for the soundboard of like Lawrence Kasdan being like, Darth Vegas?
I saw Wayne Newton there one time.
and then JJ's like, man, I really gotta watch episode 3 for the second time. Now that I've made the sequel trilogy.
Be like, oh, I forgot about that Django guy. I could have used a guy like that. Man, I should have watched this.
Somewhere there's like a Make-A-Wish kid that's like, I want to meet J.J. Abrams. And J.J. Abrams like goes to the hospital and sees him. It's like, so what do you want to do all today, little Billy? I want to watch the prequel trilogy. And JJ's just like, you hear the hello darkness, my old friend.
like JJ thoroughly hates Jar Jar, which has become so socially unacceptable that it's like, no wonder like he doesn't talk about this stuff. Like
he's still in director's jail. Like he hasn't done an interview in like 3 years.
Yeah. But Ahmed Best is like, you
I would say
like
Ahmed's Best career is going better right now.
I think Ahmed Best Jedi is one of the dumbest things in modern Star Wars, but you can't hate Jar Jar anymore because Ahmed Best's like personal story, which so like it's not socially acceptable for JJ to be like, oh man, maybe you'll see Jar Jar like his skeleton on Tatooine somewhere if I direct another Star Wars sequel. Like he said something like that, right?
That was in the Vanity Fair piece for The Force Awakens. He's just like, I want to put Jar Jar's bones in the desert of Jakku. And the writer, like the interviewer's just like, isn't that a little harsh? He's like, I want to be the one who kills Jar Jar. It's like, oh, and then like 3 weeks later, it's like Ahmed Best's like, I contemplated suicide based on how the fans treated me. And it's just like, let's give this guy the keys to Episode 9. He has this all figured out. And we wonder why. Like we keep looking at Lucasfilm, being like, Lucasfilm, how can you keep doing this? Like it's like it's just like it's in their nature to keep the shenanigans afoot over there.
It's kind of amazing.
It really is. If it weren't for the fact that we all live and die by this nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling. I don't know.
We get more tomorrow or Wednesday? Can't wait.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little more detached though. Like I think it's because I can tell that this one, it's really not abject garbage in the way that Kenobi was, So it's like, no, I know everyone's telling me that it is, but I know that it's not compared to something like that. So like, I feel okay about it.
Well, like the payoff's got to be something amazing. That's what I'm thinking.
No, it doesn't.
It's like you gotta sit there. You have so many unanswered questions just based off of what the story in this series in itself. It's like what really happened in that encampment of witches. What happened that made that one Jedi Master take the poison in Episode 2. You want to know what happened to that person. It has to be something more than what was actually on screen. There's a lot of hidden things
It'll
that
be very
happen.
Last Jedi, right? Where we're gonna see 3 versions of this story. Possibly, we've already seen it from, I guess, Osha's perspective. Maybe we'll see it from the Jedi perspective or May's perspective at some point. Like I do feel like they will do that.
I am telling you, I want them just to show up and be like, you guys are using the Force? Oh, we can't allow that. And then the lightsabers ignite and they just slaughter everybody. That would make someone take poison later in their life, regretting that decision. Because they're like, the Force should be everybody's.
Well, the weird thing, they
chickened out. They were right there.
But if you rewatch, like, and I know you're not going to do it, and I don't recommend it necessarily, but if you rewatch like the first, the flashback episode, like May is kind of a jerk from day one.
No way.
She's like torturing little bugs, and like she's like that's the biggest red flag ever. Torturing animals. Like the show starts out and she's like watching her sister play with butterflies, and she's like strangling the butterflies from off screen. Like that's the introduction to May, right?
But she's a witch, also. But she's the one who's actually going through the practices and taking things seriously. So
yeah.
Maybe that's just how young witches are supposed to act. They're supposed to literally be witches. And she's like, I'm a little witch. I'll do that. Yeah,
once she tells her sister, I will literally kill you, and then she tries to light the building on fire.
Well, the other thing, too, is that I forgot the Game of Thrones guy's name in the show.
Master Tormund?
Yeah.
Torben?
He was taken over because his eyes got all black by the witches. Which means he could have been a vessel for actually causing all of that destruction, and that's why he put himself in exile in the bubble.
Man, he killed himself for something he did while being possessed. What an idiot!
Yeah, how would that work? Would they turn him on the Jedi or on themselves to kind of? I don't know. Yeah.
Well, at one point, like in episode, I forget if it's episode 1 or 2, when May's like Osha's having all of her flashbacks to May. May's eyes do the same thing that Torben's do in the episode 3. Like it kind of like blacks out. So like, I don't know, maybe he gets like some form of like possessed and kills everybody. But at the same time too, we don't see any lightsaber slashes. Like we don't see any like anything like that. Like we see with like Kilbasa Wookiee Jedi. So like, I don't know. I think again, my biggest fear with this show is that like so far,
you might enjoy it.
Well, yeah, like I'm enjoying it for what it's worth, but like I have a feeling that it might be going toward like what Lost was back in the day, where it's like, it's all going to pay. Like it's going to pay off to a big thing. It's going to pay off. And then
no show is that long anymore, so it won't do that.
But what I mean though is that like is the payoff for this going to be captivating? Because based on like what we're seeing, like again, I posted like in the group chat, like the footage we're seeing, we're going to get a pretty solid payoff to the ending of episode 4. Like we are going to finally get some actual action. So, and even like one of the writers was tweeting a couple days ago being like, oh, the reason why this episode was so short was when we were drafting the story for all this, like episodes 4 and 5 were tied together, but like the bulk of the budget went to episode 5. And like at some point, I guess Kelbaka was going to have like a fight sequence, and they cut that to redirect those funds toward episode 5. So it's like I said, like cautiously optimistic, but again, like action wise, I hope we get what we want. But as for the mystery of it all, I don't know if I trust them to stick the landing of it.
Well, action-wise, too, I want to bring up that there are a forest of Mothmen that are very attracted to lightsabers, very close by all this action going on. So I'm really hoping that somehow this gets a bit interrupted with them having to fight them as well, and that's probably how like it might play out.
It's a Chekhov's gun. God dang it, Russ, you're right.
Why would Mothman. Why would he even say it's attracted to the light of the saber? And now we've got a bunch, because last episode was called Day, and I'm sure this next episode is just gonna be called Night. That makes sense,
Russ,
right?
You were
Every episode has been called like Destiny something, this 2 in a row. Then you finally got Day as one episode, and I don't know what the name. I'm assuming the next episode would be called Night.
Do they?
The other thing too is Kalnaka, the way he was slashed, he obviously probably knew the person that did it.
Yeah, I guess I create like maybe it's Indara or something. I mean, he has a powerful Wookiee Jedi. Oh, someone rolled a lightsaber under the door. Like, do it, Wook.
Yeah, what is he doing? He's sitting there watching his Wookiee TV. Probably the same video that Chewbacca's
Lumpy was watching.
On that subject, he's chopping a bantha rump just like Mala does in the holiday special when it shows him. It's uncanny. It's a holiday special reference. I swear. He's just using a crappy little axe to like chop up some meat in the exact same way. It's a shame he didn't get much of a scene.
But it doesn't make sense, because if he's supposed to be a Jedi master, then he's sitting there on his lazy boy and he's slashed on the chest. What actually happened there?
Well, there's more. There's definitely like it's not even just the flashback, because like when it shows his hut, he's clearly been like researching these witches, because like he's got like the little spiral designs and like yin yang symbols that the witches had like on his walls in his hut, and it does close up inserts of them at the start of episode 4. So like he was like I don't know, maybe there's like I don't know what he was doing on that planet specifically to do with that, but they zoom right in on like him drawing out some of those witch hieroglyphs in his hut. Hopefully that wasn't just a cut scene. That was part of his fight. They didn't have money to finish that story arc. I don't know.
Well, at least not yet. Yeah, maybe he is part of. Maybe they were getting a little too close to figuring out what was going on with all this witchery afoot. And
they talked about him going quiet for a year.
Yeah, but he was like, probably went back. Cinemoddities said there was no witches there. There was this, whatever, leave it. And then he's just like, all right, I'll just do this on my own. Like, you are no help.
Yeah. Well, I think the most plausible theory to come out of tonight's discussion is that Sifo-Dyas changed Ki-Adi-Mundi's birthday.
Correct.
I think that's I'm dying on that hill. I think that's where I'm going to go with.
All right. Anything else about the Acolyte, or can we ask Russ what his opinion on the Haslab Cantina is?
Okay, good. Man, I think it looks cool, but I'm a little happier thinking it through, thinking it's finally a Haslab I'd want to order. I like my old 78 cantina next to my Mandalorian bar, full of all of my whatever, all of the characters. I don't think I need to drop $500 on it. As much as I do want it, I just can't afford it. But it does look. Who ordered it? Do any of you guys ordered it?
It's got a couple weeks left, right?
Yeah, 2 weeks.
And what, like till like 20,000 or 10,000 people they need for it? I knew they weren't getting it that quick.
The final tier is 17,000, I think. I haven't looked where it's at in a while. I don't know. I'm thinking about it.
Chris keeps sending me videos of like people trying to display it, and it's like that's the most pragmatic element of this, not the $500, but how do you display this thing effectively?
Yeah, well, no, but it's related, because if you spend $500 and you still can't display it, man, you're a chucklehead.
Right. And I am totally Democrat. I've got like almost people are like, oh, you start getting. I'm like, I got all these cantina characters. I have my own goofy cantina going, so it would be really cool to have it. But I don't know, man. It just something about it just doesn't come together. There's too many small little parts. It looks unfinished on some parts. But the characters, the Tanaka sisters, but that's unfair to just stick them in there. I don't.
Yeah. That's really, yeah. You got to just buy it to get those, and then sell the bar after you have your carded Tanaka sisters. That's
probably
the
the way to go about it, because you could probably turn that for a little bit.
Yeah, like
who wants to buy it? We're like, well, it's too late. You don't get the Tanaka, because they would know. Whoever bought it from you would know. Like,
yeah,
right, that jerk got to keep the guys, but I got it.
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna be going for good money. Those two.
Chris, Joe and I were talking. Who we need to build or like add to the cantina is the little Pepsi alien from the Phantom Menace. That should be a figure.
Marfa-Lump.
Yeah, of course, Chris knows. Joe and I were talking about this. We're trying to Google his name one day, and like, of course, Chris just knows off the top of his head. But yeah, he should be a little character that comes in the cantina.
Yeah, I mean, if they're gonna do stickers of Pelimoto, you might as well have Marfa-Lump. Like,
exactly.
One's from real Star Wars, so you might as well have Marfa-Lump. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I forget that we had the Pelimoto where the droids have taken over the cantina. I kind of forgot that they did return there for a little bit. And was it Max Rebo was playing in the corner or something?
I think Max Rebo showed up in the Book of Boba Fett and that other cantina. That's kind of better. Yeah.
That's like a casino. It's like
the one that blew. Yeah. Still, Max Rebo survived. It's the second explosion. He survived.
Yeah, he just slunk out of there just in time. Yeah. The barge didn't get him, but the IED in the helmet or whatever it was. Yeah,
that was Book of Boba Fett, where they were basically the terrorists from Kessel. Those guys,
the Pikes. Oh man, wow! Forgot that was a thing till just now. Yeah.
Oh, the fever dream that is the Book of Boba Fett.
Always back to the Pikes, yes.
All right. Anything else about the Electrolyte episodes 3 and 4?
Zipper face is May's mom.
Real mom.
Mother Quarrel or Anastasia?
Anastasia.
Both. They take turns.
Yeah, that's what the real witch magic is. They merge themselves. The power of many, bro.
Oh my God.
All right. And now it's a week later and we have seen episode 5.
All right. That is nowhere near as clunky as I wanted it to be. All right. Yes, we are here. We got the payoff to all payoffs, I like to say. I would imagine Chris has some issues with it. Zenger, it's, oh God, the first time since 2004 that we got scary Star Wars. We actually have a menacing villain again that didn't just immediately die or get nerfed. Russ, I'm kind of curious what your thoughts on all this are, because you have the most nuanced takes amongst all of us.
Oh, well, that's good to hear. But the way I feel about it, I've kind of liked a lot of this show, and I don't fall into everything else that, all the static around it. But this one, I mean, I did not expect to see the amount of murder that we did. I know I tried to make some calls, but you've heard in this very episode, we know the reveal now. It was Quamir the whole time. It was kind of what they think, but it's like as far as the episode overall, I loved the elements with Quamir and all that fighting, but it's still like the main storyline still drags it down in a slight way. The thing with the twins and everything towards the end, which I'm sure we'll get to, but that's a minor gripe. It was a really great episode.
Grand Admiral Zenger?
Oh, it was perfect. I loved every bit of it, but they didn't go far enough. I mean, we did get a beheading.
But everyone with a fan base was killed. There was no more Jackie Jam. There's no more Yord Horde. It's like all of the little fan bases all got sliced down.
But the thing is, I feel like I'm getting what I want, and I'm upset by it. because
spoken like a true Star Wars fan, I'm getting exactly what I want, and I'm angry because of it.
Because the whole point he kind of alludes to, and this is the thing I was yelling about in the last episode, or earlier this episode, however this stuff gets released, was that Star Wars, like the Jedi are keepers of the Force, and no one else can use it but us. And he's like, I just want to Acolyte. And then you get the roll credits thing, but he's like, I just want someone to train in the Force the way I want to, and the Jedi won't let me. And I'm like, oh man, they need to go harder with this, so much harder. Because I like the whole the Jedi are the keepers of the Force, and everyone's like, that's BS, and I'm gonna go try to do it myself.
I mean, I feel like the feeling is that this went harder than anything that has ever gone hard as far as Star Wars go. They eliminated not only all the throwaway BS Jedis we kind of thought they would, but the main people we love. A lot of like comparisons to Game of Thrones and the wedding and all that, but like they really did just the guy. He snapped Yord's neck, man. Like I was laying in bed trying to have a relaxing night, and I'm gonna watch Yord get his neck snapped. Come on,
but they killed Plo Koon.
Correction, not Plo Koon.
Okay, whatever.
All right, Chris.
I'm just shocked T didn't die during this.
All right, well, we're gonna. God damn it, Zenger. God damn it. See, now there is the perfect criticism. Did Shock T die in all the murder? No. Well, there's always room for opportunity, Lucasfilm. All right, because I know Chris is going to be probably the most Debbie Downer just by the nature of it all. I thought this was great. It's like different great than like Ahsoka level great where I was just eating it up. The choreography, we will be studying this for years. I only wish that how it was shot were as good as the choreography in this, because people now are like freeze framing it and literally doing like shot by shots of things happening. And I'm just like, wow, like a level of appreciation for just, again, everybody involved. Chris, hold on. I saw the inhale. I think it's, again, if it was shot more like how the prequels were shot, I know there's a friend of the show, John Justice, was talking about the over choreographed nature of the Phantom Menace and Revenge of the Sith. I think that would have been great for this, just simply to see everything happening as opposed to like the first 30 seconds where it's like all behind trees. And I'm like, there's some great stuff happening here, but unfortunately in the foreground, it's a bunch of foliage. Quaimir, like that is like, it's monologuing, but it's effective monologuing. He is one step above mustache twirling, but just the brutality of everything this character is doing, even though it's the right, in my opinion, the right level. Jackie getting perforated, like the fact that we got a triple tap is just like clearly somebody's reading the comment section after the Kenobi episodes aired. Clearly the cutoff from death to survival when it comes to impalement is 2. That is it, apparently 2 to 3. That's where you can survive 2 impalements. 3, that's a bridge too far. There's so many questions I have. We're keeping this relatively short, just simply to tack this on to the episode. We'll delve more into, I imagine, next week's episode. But no, man, it was provocative. It did the thing that I wanted the first 2 episodes to do when I saw them in the city. It makes me want to read High Republic nonsense. And then even there's still footage from the marketing, like Vernestra in the jungle with the lightsaber whip. Most likely we're going to get some form of cover up of all this. I think that's a fait accompli. She's going to be the one that puts Quaimir either in his place or kills him. And she's going to be the one that, again, cover up. But yeah, man, it checked all the boxes. I have not felt this way about Star Wars since March, April of 2004, and Grievous stomped Shaggy to death.
Wow.
Hold on. Beforehand, I do want to point one thing out. I appreciate all that, Zach, and yeah, I'm on board with all this, but I don't think it's going to get covered up. I think it's just going to be, I think it will get covered up in the sense of, their shuttle, their shuttle crashed. I like to hope that Quaimir gets to just exist and move on in the world.
I hope,
and not be related to that other one.
Well, we'll save that for next week as well, because I don't want it to be too much speculation, considering that there'll be a new episode in less than 48 hours. But yeah, there is 100, like looking at his armor, how he fights. I see the Ren. Like I went back and read my Rise of Kylo Ren comics. I went and looked at some of the Kira, Hidden Empire, Crimson Empire stuff. There's definitely some Ren in here. The whole talk of the Sith is, I think, just there for the normies and the filthy casuals to go, ooh, like point at the television. But like clearly this is meant to be somebody who has their own agenda. I still think you're going to get his big bad. There's going to be a Thanos level of all this. But Chris, go ahead.
The idea that you'd spend so much time and effort trying to give a backstory to the Knights of Ren is like such an insult to this entire creative effort. That's a throwaway line in Force Awakens, and then it was only ever addressed again in The Rise of Skywalker because JJ realized it was the last movie. Like it's just like it's like setting up like Snoke's backstory, which they gave one sentence to in The Rise of Skywalker. It's like you've already, by creating the show, you've already given it more thought than JJ ever did. So make it its own thing. But yeah, I don't know, man. So I hear what you're saying. I like that people are actually discussing this show. Like I'm in a lot of like messenger threads of like Star Wars fans and collectors, and like I don't remember this sort of discourse around Ahsoka or any of the other shows recently. Half of these guys didn't even watch Andor, which just confuses me beyond all comprehension. But like I don't know, like I'm not going to put him on blast, but like a good buddy said, you know what, I think that was the best like saber duel like I've ever seen in Star Wars. That's the best lightsaber choreography ever. And it's like, we're not watching the same thing, bro. Like it's like comparing this to the prequel fight choreography is beyond insulting. These are weekend warrior sword fighters by comparison to what they put those guys through, and especially in episode 1. So like, just stay in your lane. You're not a fight choreography expert. Clearly I'm not either, but like, my God, you put them side by side, and half of this is hidden by trees.
But not to interrupt, but I think that's not the choreography. I think it's not shot as well as it could be. If it were shot the same way that the Phantom Menace was, I think it would be in that same tier.
We're not going to know because they covered it up by trees. We don't know if the choreography was any
Show
good.
us the dailies, Disney. Give us the dailies on the Blu-ray disc.
I think what people are appreciating though is that it's a little bit. It's hard to like think of a different angle you could take on a lightsaber fight, and you get a lot of new stuff. Like I know it's a little cheap, almost Darth Vader hallway kind of thing to have him stick his lightsaber out and force pull another dude into that and shish kebab 2 guys. It's still we've never seen it though, so and it's brutal. Yeah. It's like we didn't. A lot of us, going back to when Disney first acquired it, we're like, we're never going to see any kind of things like this. Well, like it wouldn't be so brutal, but the fact that they're actually doing it here is in this quote unquote woke show is kind of like, oh, okay. And that's what's pulling people in. A guy all dressed in black with a red lightsaber is mauling Jedi down. And
yeah.
It's what people missed, evidently.
Yeah. And what I find offensive is all the shills are saying to the haters, you happy now? You're seeing a bunch of Jedi get killed. Do you not like it yet? They like, it's like, that's not the point, guys.
Are you not entertained?
Yeah. It's just like, I don't know. Here, it had some interesting moments, but it's like there's still a lot of cringe nonsense in there. Like they're just all the quips back and forth. Like you compare this to Darth Maul fighting Obi-Wan in episode 1. Those two guys are just trying to kill each other. They're not talking poems at each other, taking long breaks, running away from each other. Teeing up a killing blow and then running off into the woods instead of finishing the job. It's theatrical nonsense like that, Disney writing type stuff, prolonged conversations for no reason type stuff. And it's just like, and like, oh my God, Soul's dialogue with this guy, like, hey, I'm pretty sure you're not a Jedi, even though you have a Jedi's weapon. No crap. Like, what are we like? We're just saying there's dialogue for the sake of dialogue in this thing. And it's
I feel like they're trying to make it a little more personal, like, and we don't know why quite yet. We have to wait and find out, but it seems a little more personal than, with Maul and Obi-Wan. We're like, we don't know each other. We just know our lightsabers are different colors and we must fight. There's a little more Chris, of a deeper thing going on, I feel.
Where I disagree with you, Chris, is that, like, again, over the last week, I've been thinking about this, like, and again, Revenge of the Sith is different because obviously there's the weight of just decades of, oh, this is it. This is the moment. But you compare this to the Phantom Menace and their stakes. Like, even like, oh God, as I was waiting for my computer to warm up, and like there was like somebody had a GIF of the moment where like Jackie has the one lightsaber and the other one like reactivates back on, and
I hate that.
The stranger Quamir looks at it and then she like looks back up at him and it's like kind of like a slight grin. I'm like, no, hold on a second. No. But Chris, there's more dynamic in that moment than there is in the entire Duel of the Fates.
That is one of the worst moments ever. It's like that could have been 25% the length that it was. Oh, we're in a life or death duel. Let's spend 10 seconds looking at the fact that the saber turned back on. Like, you are about to be killed and you're
Chris,
looking around.
It's television. It needs a moment of humanization.
No, this is you could do it. You could have that same moment at a quarter the speed and it wouldn't be jarring. But this way it's Disney. This is nonsense. Look around. Oh, my saber turned on. I'm going to grin before I attack you over a course of 5 seconds.
That's no different than on Endor and all the Imperials run out of the bunker and Han runs in front of the doors and then shrugs. Like, realistically, Han shouldn't have done anything. He shouldn't have been anywhere near there. He should have had Chewbacca just shoot the Imperials with the ATST. Like, there's a level of, you got to play to like the cheap seats.
Do it faster. Do it faster. I didn't like that at all.
More intense.
Yeah, exactly.
I
mean, listen, it's not my fault that they staff an entire bunker unarmed. Like, what do you like? I don't know why the Empire did that. They're office jockeys. They didn't need blasters, I guess. I don't know what to tell you.
Vehemently disagree. But even going back to like Soul, like, I get it. Like, Soul and Quamir's like exchange. Yes. Is it a little bit ham-fisted? Sure. But
ham-fisted dialogue in Star Wars. I'd never.
He's also toying with him. Like, he's destroyed pretty much everyone there, and he can just toy with this guy. He's already fought him, and it wasn't very impressive too. And I mean, very intimidating. Very intimidating.
You know who's gonna not be surprised when thrice stabbed Jackie ends up being alive? I'm not going to be surprised.
I don't know, man. That Entertainment Weekly interview makes a big point of like they were her and the actor who plays Yorba like high-fiving on set, like, oh man, here's our death day. Like, I don't know, man.
Well, Yord's definitely dead. But Yord's definitely dead.
Back to Canty Bone.
No, I've already seen the Force Ghost image of Soul as Luke looking over all the Jedi, and Yord's neck is like turned to the one way. That's pretty great.
That was great
already. That was pretty quick and good.
Yeah, but I mean, we that neck break is infinitely more fatal than a lightsaber stab. We've learned that. You know what I mean? Like, there's not too many of those.
But this is the thing, though, is that, like, yes, you have your red shirts at the beginning, because I was getting nervous when this episode first began, and, like, you have, like, Osha, like, coming to, and you see, like the red marks, like,
Jedi
in the dirt.
There. Like,
well, yeah, and I was getting nervous, like, oh, no, are we going to have, she wakes up to the aftermath of this? And no, and just... There's a level, but Chris, like, I get your frustration with it, but there's a level of
she's 10 feet away and she can't. The sound of the fight starts fading in after a minute. Like, what's going on?
Maybe she was concussed. Who knows?
She was thrown against a tree. Yeah, exactly.
Give them some level of dramatic license, Chris.
I want Saving Private Ryan ear ringing if they're going to do that.
Okay, that could be in your fan edit of this. But this is where, like, you have the moment with Quamir, and it's just. You have everything, like, again, I'm having a hard time articulating this. It's just, I get it. You find the dialogue very shallow, but at the same time, too, if you like put yourself in the character of Soul, like, he's lived his entire life. There's been no other red lightsaber person. Probably there's a good chance he doesn't even know what that means. Like, what's a red lightsaber? And you have that back and forth. And I think it's obvious that Soul was involved. It's, like, we made the joke about, I know what you did last summer, but he's clearly complicit in what happened with all the witches. And Quamir knows something, and this is the artistic license that they're playing with right now. I think my prediction, who knows, I could be wrong by the time this airs or debuts, is that he's going to be the kill for May or Osha. At this point, it could be either or, of a Jedi killing a Jedi without a weapon, without murder. He's going to have some form of self-immolation because of what his involvement was. And that's going to be the true beginning of the end of the Jedi that concludes with Order 66.
Yay!
Maybe he turns on Kiadi-Mundi and Kiadi takes him out. He's like, I told you it was never the Sith. It was rogue Jedis, and I wiped them out. We got to bring it back to the last episode, guys. There's a lot of Kiadi-Mundi talk.
Amazing how we haven't heard that name in almost a week. It's amazing how that, like, I will say, like, I got to give the Chud fandom some credit because they got real quiet. Like, they did shut up. Like, they could have still been, like, hooting and hollering and, like, booing. They got quiet real quick.
I'm still annoyed, but
good for you.
Yeah, it's just but
so annoyed.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Here's what bothered me the most this episode. Here's what bothered me the most this episode. All right.
You saw all that budget go to use?
No, that's first of all, the LED sabers are getting tired. They're like, oh, but have you guys noticed that we can practically light Yord's face with this yellow lightsaber LED? It's like he's using it as a flashlight for no reason in the woods, and it has like no sound coming from it. It's just sloppy, and like the brightness of the sabers is all weird. They're way lower than they should be because they're using practical sabers and they're just letting that light work. But aside from all that,
I'm with you on that. Go on.
But like, okay,
someone has to be.
So Soul's ready to kill this guy, the stranger, which is, that's what I'm going to call him from now on. That's the winning name for me.
Filoni had some kind of the stranger comes to town. Like Filoni probably was like, I have a stranger I want to introduce. He has a hat. It's like, no. That's
a different stranger than the episode of The Mandalorian called The Stranger. But this, just most generic words ever repeatedly used. But yeah, so like Soul's got him where he wants him. He could finish the job. He's right about to do it. And then Osha's like, no, don't kill that guy who's, basically killed a bunch of dudes by proxy and blah, blah, blah. She says to Soul not to kill him. Then she proceeds to put animal bait in his hoodie so that he gets... She's hoping he's killed by 1 million giant wasp centipedes at that point. What she's doing, she has every right to assume he might end up dead from her actions, but she doesn't want Soul to kill him with a guarantee that he's got on it right then. But then she puts that in his hoodie, knowing he's going to be attacked by a bunch of animals. And by the way, last time she got one of those animals killed, she felt bad about it. Well, she got 20 of them killed this time, and she didn't seem to give it a second thought. And she, it's just like, let me stop you from killing him, so I may try to kill him in a much less efficient way that doesn't work.
But there's a difference.
Chris.
What was that?
No, hold on. I got this.
Right.
Chris.
Thank you, Zenger.
Chris. There's a difference between murder and manslaughter, and she obviously knew the difference and wanted to be covered legally.
And they just pick him up and he flies off like Team Rocket. Like, what the heck was that?
Exactly. That is manslaughter, not murder.
We're not going to corrupt a Jedi, but we will have some incidental murder by sticking my droid lamp in his back, and hopefully Rat Boy finds my droid friend. So Rat Boy survived.
Rat Boy's MVP.
He grabbed the evidence.
And he had to grab. They had to, because they had to have him grab it 9 feet away from Kylo Stranger. He's like right there, and the rabbit's like touching it, and it's like. And it's like, what, you can't even sacrifice the non-character Pip? Like, we got to recollect Pip's head. Even though she says she loves him, as she rips his head off and uses it as bear bait. It's like...
all of these new shows have a little friendly droid that you can also sell as a small thing. Think of Leia's little droid she had. Yeah, this Pip is very product size. Leia's droid was product size. BB-8 was a little big.
I don't think they're going to do it. I think Lola sold too badly for them to make a like electronic Pip, but we'll see.
Okay, I should say, like, we gotta give Chris some comedy points here. Like, we get it. I get it. He's frustrated, but like, he's on fire right now. Like, the Team Rocket thing was like a 10 out of 10, like, spot on reference, and then just the cavalcade after that. Like, I'm sorry that your disappointment and frustration is entertaining us, Chris, but like, well done. No, I get the argument, but like Zenger said, there's a difference between watching your former master murder somebody. It's the same thing with Mace Windu and Palpatine with Anakin. It's, what do you think? It's not a poetry, it rhymes moment. The fact that the restraint and the lack of corruption that, like, okay, like, yes, Palpatine murdered 3 Jedi Masters, sure. And Mace Windex was just going to swipe at him and be like, okay, like, I'm taking this into my own hands. And that's the thing, is that, and that's where I think it's going to be interesting to see where Soul's journey ends. Could it not pay off effectively? Sure. It's Disney Star Wars. We're all, even though this was great, we're still waiting for the bottom to drop out of it. And I think that's the thing. It's a level of Soul, do not murder him, but knowing that in that moment, the stranger Quimir is not going to go willingly, and I'm going to use the resources around me to at least take him out of the fight momentarily. There's a difference between...
She didn't know that they were going to pick him up.
Hold on. But they have wings. The thing is, there's a difference between, I awoke this giant beetle creature, and because of me awaking it, it was killed, versus this malevolent force. We gave it a moment to find peace. It refused it. I've got to do something to, diffuse the situation. I think, Chris, there's a level of scrutiny there that's maybe a bridge too far that you're not giving this.
She should have expected. It's quite possible that he would be killed with that action.
Well, sure, but I think she also knows, considering how
Chris is mad. I called earlier in this episode. Look, I said the Moss were going to come and save the day and kill get the Sith guy. I already called this earlier this episode, same episode, and Chris is just annoyed. He's like, "God damn it, Russ did it again." But sorry.
But like, why the moment, like, Disney Plus Star Wars? It from day one, it's kill the big monster, kill the wild animal for dramatic effect, not reflect on it morally. Why in this series you get the one time where somebody's like, you know what, I felt kind of bad about that moth centipede dying, and then she goes and needlessly kills 20 more of them through her
They might have already switched at that point, for all we know. The ending of this was very confusing too, and I guess there's the bit of cringe with the lightsaber haircut. I will never. That was not necessary in this. You were killing it, literally killing it. Why'd you have to do a lightsaber haircut? But I guess
not
it was part
Soul.
of the story. And with the way the story's wrapped up towards the end, you're like, all right, we have a definite direction next episode, but in just the last 2 minutes, let's just get to that. Like, haircut, switching people, he's healing people. Like, wait, where are we going with this?
Just like Big Whiskey, how many years ago?
This is like the exact ending of The Matrix Reloaded. Like, Agent Smith is on the ship, man. Watch out. They don't know it. But it's not.
Yeah, that did happen.
But there's no rat boy in The Matrix Reloaded, so we're good.
Yeah,
some of the Wachowskis are throwing their shoe at their TV right now.
No, there was a character named Mouse.
That's the first movie.
The problem with Rat Boy is that they explicitly stated that Yord was the only one who knew how to communicate with him, even though they should have access to, Google Translate by this point in the galactic history. But they just pointed out that no one knew how to talk to him except Yord, and Yord is quite explicitly dead. So I'm sure there's going to be a scene where Rat Boy tries to warn Soul, but he's not capable of expressing it.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that there was a scene where Rat Boy goes to Yord's snapped neck and just trying to come on, Yord, get up, old boy. We got to get going. Hey, we don't know. That could happen.
A Mufasa Simba moment, Russ?
God, I hope.
Fortunately, there will be no Yord Force Ghost, as that technique has not been learned yet by the Jedi.
Qui-Gon hasn't died yet to teach the characters. Whew. All right. Is there anything else you want to say for this, or are we gonna?
We're really just gonna not talk about the lightsaber interrupting metal. That we're just gonna leave that hanging.
Cortosis. So I will say this. I know where you're going with this. The first time I watched this, I didn't realize he was using his. I thought he was hitting the hilts of their lightsabers just because the episode kind of moves very fast. I thought he was hitting their hilts and causing the lightsabers to malfunction. I was like, why have we? This is new. We've never seen this. But of course, watching back, he's using his helmet and arm bracer to deactivate lightsabers, which is a very kind of feels like an old schooly kind of Knights of the Old Republic way of fighting.
Yeah. Well, Cortosis has been around a long time, It's like it's just like old comics. Then there's a real fun mission involving it in the Obi-Wan game for Xbox, where Qui-Gon explicitly states that it's basically space Kevlar.
So still trying to play that game. I've tried so hard to play the game. I don't have the system in the game to play it.
Oh, that's a classic. That's hard to get a hold of and use properly. But luckily, Bounty Hunter for PS2 is finally coming out on Xbox, so I'm gonna enjoy that.
Yes,
I did see that it's coming out. Yeah, I'm gonna get the PS4 version to play up here. I want the revamped version, man. I've been playing on the PS2 for too long.
Yeah, it's actually remastered. But yeah, you're never seeing that Obi-Wan. There's no demand for that. No one remembers that game.
Green lightsaber Obi-Wan because it's Xbox. Crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome Cortosis mission in that, though. And obviously Knights of the Old Republic has Cortosis blades as well. But I didn't notice that either. And I thought that the Stranger disabled far too many lightsabers in a 30-minute period for that to have basically never happened in the rest of the Star Wars saga, except like once in episode 2. It's like, I didn't realize it was so easy. You just cut that part of the hilt and then they can't fight you anymore. Why doesn't everyone do this all the time? I sort of thought that the Jedi were employing their Force abilities to sort of make that a difficult thing to do, but apparently it's quite easy to just break someone's lightsaber hilt, but then it starts up again, sort of like the Millennium Falcon's like troubled engine, and just convenient.
Oh God! If it made the same sound.
Come on, baby, hold together and their shit.
They just start up,
shake
weights, yeah. Oh my God. But yeah, there's a few times in this where like it is a troubled engine starting up again at a convenient moment. It's rough, man. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't agree with it.
But they made it so our hero Jackie would figure it out though and just realize I got to smash this dude's helmet off because he's used his helmet to mess over my buddies, which was, her reveal, her whole fight was, I think, pretty well done. Yeah, it's in Darth Maul. I mean, come on, like I don't have those kind of expectations for this show, but it was a fun fight. I thought her fighting May was actually even more exciting. Like that seem like a more a fair fight. That she actually did win. That was good. That was really good.
Yeah, and when she's reading off, like, she's doing the correct police procedure, reading off all the crimes she committed.
Randomizing the criminal.
Yeah, starting the fire that killed your family. That's some cold stuff, man.
Yeah.
And having Jedi have handcuffs, like they are the cops. Like we've never seen a Jedi try to cuff someone before.
True.
And the fact that it was Jackie doing it of all people, and she pulled it off on someone we think has already murdered three Jedi Masters at this point.
Yeah.
Kelnaka. So when did Kelnaka get killed?
He was always dead.
He was already dead from long ago when Quamir first went there, because he said he scoped the place out, and we've seen the thing where the Wookiee is pulling the guy's guns, which we've never gotten any context for. Is that when Quamir first showed up to scope the place out, just killed him then?
Sure, why not?
Cool.
I don't know. I forget if it was one of the writers did an interview. Somebody said that Kelnaka like had a fight scene, but they cut it for like quasi budgetary reasons to like spend more time.
Bull.
I know, right? You can't.
I could make 2 Godzilla -1s for every episode of this.
That's right. It's a fact.
Piece of data. Move to the east. Yes, sir.
And you can't kill one Wookiee with that budget?
You'll see him one more time. But yeah. Eunice Satomo was denied his lightsaber fight, but maybe he'll get a little bit in the flashback, I guess, coming up.
You better.
All right, just one last thing. We do have to talk about real quick, just a real-time update of the Haslab at 8 days and 52 minutes remaining.
How close
Zenger's
is it?
pitching his temple. It is currently at 6,400 backers. Just got to put that in there. Just got to put that in there. I'm sorry.
What's the goal?
8,000.
Okay,
minimum.
Look, can we start a Patreon for this show, and we'll just all the proceeds will go to Haslab, and we'll buy one. All right. So
all the proceeds will go to my therapy.
Russ gets it on the weekends.
I just want one Tanaka sister, please. Just give me one of the sisters. I don't care.
All right, Chris. How do you want to end this? Do you want me to say the conclusion, or you just want me to?
Oh, we're just not going to talk about the Dark Falcon. I had to put up with that, but we can't talk about the Dark Falcon.
Talk about the Dark Falcon. Who's Dark Falcon's gooberish, but I kind of dig it.
I know. I'm like, it looks like so much fun.
That is going to get scalped like crazy. I would if I see one, I'll buy one. But that thing is going to the first guy who goes into the store and sees 5 of those, he's going to take them all.
So to explain for anyone not in the know,
Is this from Squadrons or something?
Dark Falcon is the dark side version of the Millennium Falcon that I guess is going to be in the upcoming Lego movie thing they're doing where Jar Jar is actually a Sith Lord. Sure, it sounds fun. Also, they are releasing a Star Destroyer that is tiny sized.
And there's a Star Destroyer with Cal Kestis.
Yeah. That's one that comes with Cal Kestis. So very excited to spend a couple $100 on Lego again.
Yeah. Could it might be that Darth Jar Jar finally supplants Slave Leia and Ula as the most expensive minifig. Who knows?
I can only hope.
All right.
Oh, and C-3PO's evil too.
Hasn't he been this whole
Making
time
one
now?
last look, sir.
So concludes this episode of Knights of Vader, a Star Wars podcast. Check out the Facebook group. Type in Knights of Vader into the good old Mark Zuckerberg machine, and we will be there waiting for you. At KOV Podcast, also on the Mark Zuckerberg machine. If you like what you hear, please rate, review, subscribe to us on iTunes or whatever podcasting platform you're currently listening to us on. Thank you to An Insperiority Complex for providing our theme song. Check out the show notes to hear more from them. But when you are too busy 3D printing Marfalump from Pepsi ads 25 years ago, Joe, what are you up to?
Still printing Marfalump.
Now that you know what to Google to get some good images. Yeah.
I'll put that into a render and have it spit it out something I can actually use. Multi-filament printer, gentlemen. Greatest thing since sliced bread.
Did you put a basil in there while you're at it?
Yeah. Where technology has just gotten such an amazing point where you can just resin print whatever awesome things you want. And Joe's like, Titan sub, Marfalump, Peep R2.
Marfalump in a Titan sub. Let's go.
Did you, Joe, tell him the latest iteration of Titan sub you made me?
The Force Ghost Titan sub. It's translucent filament.
Oh my god. In like 20 years, imagine like a horror movie where there's like a phantom Titan sub like hassling some Jimmy C like deep sea fish researcher. Great.
Can we please imagine a scenario where Jimmy C's laying in bed and the Titan sub people like start haunting him, a la like Qui-Gon to Obi-Wan in Detours? It's like, go shoo, go haunt Captain Smith instead. He's just batting in the air, like trying to swat them away.
Oh yeah. Oh god, you guys are getting off easy. When James Cameron showed up on 60 Minutes like last week, we debated just doing a whole podcast just about that. Might still happen.
Oh, we might have to, because after watching that, Chris, you were not lying. The amount of dancing on those people's graves that Jimmy C continues to do a year later is nothing short of incredible. Where he's telling the poor 60 Minutes woman, like, the Coast Guard lied, right? Like he's having like the frog. They're putting things in the water to make the frogs gay. Like he's not like I am a conspiracy theorist about Titanic, so I can't tip my hand too far. But it's great for him to be just like yelling at some like, oh god, just like beat journalist and just be like, this yelling Titanic factoids at her. It's great.
It's so amazing.
Titanic is his property at this point, so I don't blame him at all. He pretty much owns it.
Blu-ray sales on Titanic ticked up after he did that interview. But it's so great. It's like I had the classified naval data that the Titan sub blew up like 10 minutes after it happened. And then it cuts to an interview with the Coast Guard. He's like, that information was classified at the time, so I couldn't tell the news about it. But Jimmy C knew about it. Anyways, no shout outs for me. Just Google James Cameron 60 Minutes and
60 minutes. No, whoa! You always forget the part of this, Chris. It's 60 Minutes Australia. It's not even like North American 60 Minutes.
Australia's where all the hard-hitting journalism, the best UFO stories come out of Australia these days. You got Ross Coulthard. They're covering Jimmy C, Titan sub stuff. Australia knows where it's at.
And this is the best, let me do my plugs and get out of here you could ever do. A new episode coming out on Unbelievers Podcast this week. Aussie Cryptids. We talk about a bunch of Aussie Cryptids, talk to some Aussies, and we talk about... Oh, sorry. Do you have to cut that out? Oh, sorry. I thought she said F on there. But yes, that's my plugs. Unbelievers Podcast. Check it out.
Ross, at some point, will the like Titan sub like thing show up on Unbelievers? Like, is there like a statute of limitations where like we let it run its course where it will circle back to that? Like, that's got to be at some level of conspiratorial now, or is it a little too non-fantastic?
It is now. Now I want to see. Hey, just going down the rabbit hole, that would be fun. Yeah, like there's got to be other ones too, but I could get into Titan sub conspiracies.
I want those. I want the Shadow Biosphere lava monsters. That South Africa guy's yelling about. That is, come on, man. That's good stuff.
All right.
Anyways.
All right. Lava monsters, that's coming too.
All right. Grand Admiral Zenger, when you are not too busy staring either at the phone or the TV, what are you currently not invested in?
ZengThis will be back eventually with new episodes discussing, I don't know, something nerdy. Definitely not this hockey game, which is still 1-2. I mean, I want Edmonton to win. Really do.
Come on,
Sadly,
Florida.
Florida.
Huh? We're going to get them.
Whatever. Anyways.
I want flashing neon sign behind Zenger that says ZengThis will be back eventually. And he eventually is like flashing in and out.
Like sparks.
Like a no vacancy sign on a motel just flashing. Alrighty, folks. Good night, but not goodbye. And as always, may the force be with you.
Remember